want you guys in the waiting room. I just want you to join. See, waiting room. Yeah, no, sorry, there's no waiting room, but there is. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Awesome. Has anybody gone on and looked at the YouTube videos? Sometimes your faces are on there really big.
Wait, recorded videos of the class?
There's no need to if you didn't miss class. We are supposed to do it if somebody's sick or whatever. So I've been doing it. And if you do not have one of these little, I guess it was last Friday, since you guys were Wednesday, you can do this. If you please write your name and dig with the letters so I can see it. For some reason, the masks are making it harder to remember your names, and I'm really happy once we do the class in person. So this is the end. Okay, so has anybody, did any of you guys not get a date to bring in your quick write? Okay, so come on over here. Say it again. Today is your day?
No, I was saying I don't know.
Oh, you don't have them. Come on up with proper social distancing. And so just put your name, or I'll take your name so then you don't have to touch everything. So the next available day is Friday the 18th. So what's your name?
Maria?
E-R-I-A? Cool, all right.
That's why you used to call me Maria.
Oh,
My
sorry.
name's Mia.
You're Mia. Sorry, Mia. I have a feeling I'm never gonna get your name.
No.
Sure. Shamira. And your name? Jordan. Is it regular J-O-R-D? And I get Jordan with a Y sometimes. So the rest of you have dates? Do you have a date? Yeah, okay. And let's see, today, the person didn't send me. I'll check my email really quickly and see if I'm mistaken, but I don't think they sent me. Can you guys hear me out there in Zoom land? Yeah, give me a thumbs up if you can hear. Okay, do you know whose day it is to do the thing? It's yours? Okay, so did you send it to me in an email? Okay, then I'll just cut and paste it from there. And we'll get started on that. So Zoom people, please put your name in the chat so that I know that you're here. And you guys, everybody has the little name thing. So if you don't have a name, please put your name in front of you. I used to very much pride myself on, let me pay attention, knowing all my students' names, but this year it's gonna be different. I have enough things to know. Oh, please do not two-step, do this later. Oof. All right, so I don't see your email. Brianna, right? Yeah. Am I not seeing it? You guys don't judge me on my 14,000 email. So what I'm gonna have you do, Brianna, is I'm just gonna have you write it directly onto the document over here, okay? Let me see. Does anybody else need to be let in? So can you just come up here and type it in? So I've got Mia, Brianna, and Maria. So click on there. Or if you want to read it to me, I can type it. You have fast taper. You got this. Good question. Oops. Okay. Why are you putting quotes on it? Do you want the quotes?
Oh, I was typing it the way it was from my email though.
Okay.
That's how I sent it to you.
Okay, I'll look again. So I'm gonna admit these guys in a second. So I'm gonna share the screen. So this is the writing prompt. And I'm gonna start admitting more people. Admit. So people at home, can you see the writing prompt? Zoomers. Admit. You guys, you can all see that, right? Give me a sign of life out there in Zoom land. Samantha, can you see the writing prompt? Awesome, thank you. Perfect. Jaden, right? No? Your name on here. Alright, let's see who's there on Zoom. There's definitely no Jaden, right? No Jaden. No Jaden there. Okay, so go ahead and start to read what you've written, read it over, finish it up. Okay, so let's get started with hearing what you have to say on the topic. When I first looked at the question, I didn't really notice the exceptional part. Exceptional seems like an important word. Is it an exceptional form of punishment? I think it is exceptional because it's a pretty big deal to take someone's life, right? So I'd be surprised, but I am often surprised if anybody says, no, it's not exceptional. I'm gonna ask somebody I'm gonna see if I can hear you guys out there. How about someone like Lainey Lorio? Can you read what you wrote?
Okay, so I just wrote, like, I believe it's not exceptional because I feel like jail is, like, enough for a person because it's kind of like whenever you're in jail, it's kind of like you already have no life. So, like, why sentence them to the death penalty whenever you already have no life in jail?
So you feel like jail is already pretty severe, right?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, you're muted again.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's, are you against the death penalty?
Yes, I believe yes and no type thing. Like, it depends on the severity of what they did.
Sorry, you guys, because you can't hear. So I said, is she against the death penalty? And she said yes and no, which is kind of what I wanted you to say. So I'm going to mute you now, Lainey. The reason I was like, maybe she'll say that, it's because it's okay to be on the fence or in the middle of the road, But if you're a little rabbit in the middle of the road, what happens?
You get that one.
You get run over. So try to not be so middle of the road. I mean, it's okay. Sometimes you just haven't thought it out and you're in the middle of the road. But especially when you're writing, try to be clear so you're not like, well, on this hand, on the other hand, on this hand. Like, that's what we mean when we say try to have an argument. Okay, so someday I'm going to figure out how to make sure that you guys are connected so that everybody can hear. So I don't want to ignore you guys out there in Zoom, but I'm going to ask somebody from here, from the classroom, what they wrote about the question of death penalty as an exceptional form of punishment. Can I have a volunteer? Mia, that would be great. And see if you can do it loud, and then I'm going to check with them if they can hear.
Personally, I think that the death penalty is an exceptional form of punishment for specific crimes. For example, rape or any type of sexual harassment toward a child should be punished by death. Extreme, brutal serial killers and death-seeking terrorists should receive death penalty. I think that it is exceptional because the people who commit these malicious murders are evil down to their very core. I believe that once you commit a crime to that extent, there is no going back for you. Jail won't help you. Your mind and your spirit cannot bounce back from that. If those people have the right to murder or brutally torture, why should we excuse them from the same punishment?
Do you guys hear her? No, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to make a summary of what she said, which is that it's exceptional, but it should be used for people who commit exceptional crimes, such as raping a child. You said rape. Rape.
Harassment toward children.
Serial murders. Does anybody know whether you are of the opinion that it's a good thing to have the death penalty, or whether you're of the opinion it's a bad thing to have the death penalty? It's legal in the United States. It's only legal, you're gonna be like, that's a long time ago, but in my lifetime it became legal. So when I was born in 1969, there was no death penalty in the United States. So in 1976, it became legal in every state to impose the death penalty. So whether you're for it or against, do you know some of the arguments one way or another? So we heard an argument for, and what I appreciate, Mia, is that you were clear, because you're like, for these crimes, it is appropriate. Does anybody have a way to contrast that and say, wait a second, yes, Samantha. So I'm gonna unmute you, and sadly, or you can unmute yourself.
Okay, so I went to a Catholic school, and we were taught very strongly that when somebody commits like a sin, they should be able to like sit there and like get penance or like figure out what they did wrong and how they can like change themselves. So
Okay, so let me just, because they can't hear you. So she went to a Catholic school, and she was taught very strongly that if someone commits a crime, that they should sit with their doing penance, feeling the crime. And also, I don't know, Samantha, if you were ever taught about, there's a very famous nun from Louisiana. I'm gonna share with you in a second, and I just wanna make sure nobody's in the waiting room. Good, nobody's in the waiting room. So her name's Sister Helen Prejean. She's still alive, and there's a famous movie about her and the criminal who, so she's a Louisianan. I mean, that name Prejean's French, it sounds like Louisiana, right? And she's very opposed to the death penalty, partially because she's Catholic, but she has a whole philosophy of you have to be consistent. And so she's not an eye for an eye believer. She believes that we can't condemn somebody to death because they caused death. And the movie that's famous is called Dead Man Walking. And it's the worst of the worst. It's what you mentioned. It's a guy who kills a young couple, rapes the young woman, hideous crime. And she goes and counsels him and talks to him, and he does get put to death in the movie, sorry, spoiler. But she maintains this argument, which is a religious and ethical argument. So like Samantha, you're coming at it from the religion's perspective. This is what I was taught in my religious education. Why does that not convince people?
I've actually heard her speak. She spoke to us at school my sophomore year, I think.
Are you the one that went to Ursuline?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that makes sense. That all makes sense. That's really cool. I would love to see her speak in person. But why is religion not going to convince somebody? Let's say you want other people to believe one way or another. Why is religion, albeit I'm glad you brought it up, but why is it not convincing?
Everybody has a different opinion when it comes
What I
to
even said, Samantha, because somebody was raising their hand. The person who put the question in Mia, so. Oh, no, that's not Mia.
Oh, yeah, I didn't.
I'm sorry. Priya, Brianna, Mia, and it is Jordan. I'm so sorry.
I
Jordan.
was gonna say that, like, if you're trying to talk to somebody that's not Christian, it doesn't matter what you believe, you have to try to say something to make them believe it.
Right, because religions are based on your beliefs. And I can believe all sorts of stuff that you don't believe. We believe different things. So let me get to Samantha really quick, and then Mia, who's right in front of me, whose name I should know by this time. Samantha, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that everybody has different opinions when it comes to like religion and stuff, so you can't like say one person
You
is wrong.
can't really, unless you're proselytizing, unless you're really trying to get them into the religion, it's like, that's fine, that's what Catholics believe, but I'm not Catholic. So it's not a good way to bring somebody over to your side. But the beauty of Helen Prejean is she's not really proselytizing the Catholic religion. She's proselytizing this is the correct way to deal with horrible criminals. It's not to do to them what they did to somebody else, which is kind of like, oh yeah, that's a thought, right?
Yeah.
Whether you believe it or not, you have to think about it. Mia, what were you
So
gonna say?
you kind of said what I was going to say. I was going to say she's Catholic, but I'm very Baptist. I was raised in a private Baptist school as well. So I don't really agree with her point of view because we have different, our religions are different, so we see things differently. But like you were saying, it also depends on your own personal core values. Like I'm very much an organized person.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like
Which is interesting. So Samantha, you can't hear what Mia's saying, and this is why high flex sucks in a way, because this conversation could be much more interesting if you were able to communicate with each other. But there's a student who's Baptist, and she has her worldview, and the Baptist worldview is more eye for an eye. It's more Old Testament, and the Catholic worldview is more New Testament, which is more like love, 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 forgive, forgive, forgive. So it's different worldviews. But I've certainly now known enough people. I've known Baptists who've become Catholics. I've known Catholics who've become Baptists. And so people's minds and beliefs do change. So that was an interesting topic. I thank you for bringing it in. It's kind of a serious topic. And don't shy away. At the same time, don't bring in things that are necessarily inflammatory. I feel like this was a good balance. Okay, what's an inflammatory topic before we get to one and I'm like, this is what I'm saying, this is not a good topic. Does anybody have an idea of what is a topic that's
like abortion.
Zaire, you unmuted yourself, so do you have an idea?
I said like abortion.
Abortion, it just gets to be an argument of angry people. Politics, yeah. Right now, especially, we're in an election year in a very weird time, and I think you could bring in a question that is not inflammatory, that's political, or that's about women and reproductive rights, but if it's just is abortion wrong, or is abortion right, that's just not gonna be a productive conversation. Whereas I think it's interesting the way this question was posed. Is it in an exceptional form? And I think most people would agree it's exceptional. It's for really bad things. Anybody have any last thing they want to say about death penalty, Bronson?
Yes, ma'am. I put that it's exceptional because it all depends on what the violation is and how severe it is. Because yet I already think prison is acceptable enough.
So Bronson is extremely exceptional because it really depends on the crime committed.
No, ma'am.
Can I have it?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move on from this topic, and I want to go to another topic, which is everybody basically wrote their what they want from the class. So I wanted to give you guys some examples of what progress you want to make in class. Okay, Jaden says I was never let in. Oh gosh, Jaden, reply. Can you just try again? Can you try again? I swear I was checking the weight room. I'm so sorry if that happens because I'm really trying to like not have a weight room at all. Okay, so as I was saying, I want to go over like one of the things that you guys were discussing, which is how to like measure your own progress. And we're going to talk a lot about grading today. So, so this is what some of you said that struck me as interesting to gain confidence in this course. So a lot of, not everybody, a lot of students that don't have confidence in their writing because they've only gotten bad feedback from their teachers. Has anybody ever had that experience where anything you turn in, it just sort of comes back covered with red ink? And so you're like, why even engage? Does that ring a bell? Yeah, very common. So yes, part of this class is to help you feel confident in your own writing. Your writing should be original, it should be yours. I don't expect you to sound like a seasoned professor who's been writing forever. So it's to embrace yourselves, difficulties with writing and all. I love this one. I'm hoping to make friends during this course as well and to help push each other on our writing skills. Learning is social for most people, not everybody, but this is another reason that high flex is really rough because me up here lecturing is not my ideal. It's you guys talking to each other and sort of like considering things and learning from each other. I know that sounds very kumbaya, but it's true that you're more likely to listen to each other because you're peers than you are to me. And I like the idea of pushing one another. Somebody wants to just jump to the end and do well on research papers. So research papers are hard. They're hard for me. They're hard for everybody. That's why the pinnacle of academic excellence is being able to write a research paper. And that's why also it's kind of crazy to ask high school students to write research papers. Maybe 1 in a million high school students can write a true research paper, because are you guys, when you were in high school, where you're like, I'm researching? As a freshman at Nichols, you're gonna be doing a little bit of researching, but like, you know, to be writing real research, it's asking a lot. But I will help you write better research papers, to be more organized in my thought processes. So again, I believe that you learn your thought processes through writing, and then you have to go back and sort of organize it, and that with all that practice, you become more organized in your thought processes. I want to be able to immediately spot a mistake in my paper, just by first glance. We all want this, and so few of us have this. I mean, I'm good at it because I read papers all day long, and I spot errors quickly. You know what happens when I read my own writing? I have blind spots. I don't see my mistakes. We all want to be able to fix our mistakes, but another thing that I'm really pushing for this class to teach you is you need to have somebody else read it. Potentially not me first. You can always give me a draft of something to read, but depend on other people who are just around you. They're not gonna hate you and resent you for saying, can you read this? And they'll be happy to see what you're up to. Are you guys even allowed to have roommates right now? Yeah. Bug your family, roommates, friends. That helps you to get over your blind spots. But yes, we can help. I can try to help you to spot mistakes quicker, but that's a hard, it's hard. So somebody got right to the, I also don't really know what analyzing rhetorical texts mean, but I hope to find out very soon. Okay, very good. So we are going to talk more and more about what that means. A rhetorical text. Rhetorical texts, all texts have a rhetoric. All writing is trying to do something, convince somebody of something, show somebody, get somebody's attention. everything, even lyrics by Cardi B, are convincing you of something. They're out there trying to get you into their viewpoint. And that's partially understanding what rhetoric is. And again, become stronger at writing research papers. So yes, we do a research paper. Let's not worry about that right now. Okay, so I'm gonna go, and you guys at home, are you able to see that, what I just put up? You saw, okay. So those are good goals for progress. As we go through the semester, I hope to get to know you to where I can say, well, this is what you said you wanted to do, and let's see if you're doing it. All right. I don't know if that'll totally happen this semester because it's hard to get to know you with masks and through a screen. Let's look at that piece of writing, and I'm gonna do what is called a breakout room for you guys. So I'm gonna stick you at home in breakout rooms. You were asked to read a piece of student writing. The piece of student writing is a first draft, a very first draft. So it was example of a personal narrative, give it a grade. So I want you to give it a grade. Oh wait, now at home you can't see it. Hold on, sorry, home people, Zoom people. So the first piece of writing is this is a piece of student writing from a Nichols student. It's a personal narrative, it's their first draft. It's not very good, you'll see, but I want you to grade it. And how do I want you to grade it? I don't want you to grade it by saying, this deserves a X, Y, or Z. I want you to grade it by looking at the grading interpretation. So in Moodle, the last tab, it says grading, and it says documents and important stuff. And so let's just go over the grading and how it works. I will do my best to be consistent and transparent as possible about criteria for each project. So when I say criteria for each project, that means the assignment that is called the personal narrative. Within that assignment, you have the criteria for what a personal narrative should be like. Generally, however, a B denotes satisfactory work that adheres to all assignment guidelines and is submitted in a timely manner. That's a kind of a B. Projects that also demonstrate excellence in some respect will earn an A, whereas projects that fall short in some way will receive a C. The F is reserved for those projects that completely miss the mark. There is a D as well. So this is much more specific. So like every project is its own thing, but here's the specifics of what an A excellence looks like. It's original, it's insightful, it shows awareness of audience, purpose, situation. That's the rhetorical situation. Understanding who your audience is, what the purpose is, understanding the situation that you're writing about, and the situation of turning in a college paper to a college professor. So excellence also denotes that ideas are well developed with significant and persuasive evidence. It is focused from the beginning to end with an engaging introduction, coherent and logically organized paragraphs, a substantive conclusion. Writing is standard edited, written English, error-free. The writing style is appropriate for college level, precise word choices, concise wording, varied sentence structure, the use of transition. Your instructor would want to show this paper to future classes as the model solution to the assignment. Okay, so is there any mention of how many paragraphs a good paper is in here? Do I say you need X number of paragraphs? No, you do not need X number of paragraphs, but you do need some things. What are they? You need an introduction. You need organized paragraphs. Paragraphs should be about one idea and they should have transitions between them. So when we go from one idea to the next, there's a connection. So you do need paragraphs, but you don't need 5, you don't need 6, you don't need 7. You just need paragraphs. What else do you need? A good conclusion. Now here's the part that's going to also be perhaps news. You don't need to put the thesis at the beginning of the introductory sentence. You do not need to put the thesis at the beginning of the introduction. The thesis does not belong at the beginning of the introduction because maybe the thesis is implicit. It's not even stated anywhere, but do we understand the main point of the piece of writing? So how can we say a thesis needs to be at the beginning of the introduction if there really isn't an explicit thesis, it's implicit? Does that make sense to you guys? Kinda, sorta? Have you been told in the past that the thesis goes at the end of the introduction? Yes. No, it does not. It goes anywhere except one place. Where would it be weird to have the thesis?
Conclusion.
Where would it be weird to get to the main point?
The conclusion.
Just think about it for a sec. In English writing, we like things to be clear and transparent from the beginning to the end. So what would be a weird place to put a thesis if the whole essay is supposed to be clear and transparent? The end. It's weird to have a thesis in the conclusion because we should know earlier than the conclusion what your main point is. Wrap your head around this, that in some cultures, you do put the thesis at the very end. In English, we do not. It goes anywhere but the end. So it would probably also be weird to have a thesis in the second to last paragraph. So Alexis, does that answer your questions? Cool, all right. So you guys, I'm now gonna put you in breakout rooms and I'm gonna say, like, the four of you over here, turn to each other, maintaining social distance. The three of you over here, turn to each other. And I'm gonna put you guys at home in a breakout. And what you're gonna do is discuss that piece of writing and you are going to decide what grade it gets. And okay, there you go. So you guys are now in breakout rooms. Decide what piece of writing it gets. Okay, so you guys turn around and talk to each other. I'm over here in my breakout rooms. Ebony, why aren't you in a, Ebony, can you unmute yourself? Ebony just appeared. Oh, there she goes. So if you know, if you're like already, I knew kind of what it is, why? Find in the, over here in the descriptions, if it's a C, why is it a C? Hey, Alexis, how come you're the only person that's not in a breakout room? Like, nobody, oh, maybe because I have to open them? No, close all. Did you hear me, Alexis?
Yeah, I was in breakout room 2.
And then you came back, which everybody's supposed to do. Oh, they're back. I just couldn't see them. Okay, so let me ask, breakout room 1. What grade did you give that piece of writing? Who was in breakout room 1? Zaire, what did you give it? Oh, so what grade did you give it?
So we were kind of stuck. Well, they were thinking like C, and I was thinking kind of like a D, because we were talking about how it doesn't have a thesis, and like I feel like you told us that we don't really have to have like a certain amount of paragraphs, and I feel like the student was trying to kind of like put a whole bunch of information in that wasn't needed, and kind of made the writing look sloppy. And then on top of that, I was reading your comments, and like you said that it was inaccurate, some of his like facts. So that kind of threw me off. And I was just looking at the way he like formatted his paper, and like how he had like, it said student 1, and I know you're supposed to like switch it 1, 2 for the different pages. So that was like the minor stuff I was looking at. So I thought
Okay, no, you're on target. So what about breakout room number 2? What did you guys think?
Hey, Miss,
Did you
since I'm in break, Miss, since I'm in breakout room 1, I might as well give that paper like a C, like between a C or a D.
C or a D? Uh-huh, okay. Let me see what, so we have a D, we have a C. What did you guys say on the side?
I personally thought that it was good. It was organized, he was clear, it was in a good rhythm. I thought it was good. Danny was kind of corny, but that was just his story.
Okay, so what grade? A B? Okay, so this is bad because we're all over the place with the D, the C, the B. What about you guys? If you give me an A, I'm gonna be like, ah, a C. Okay, well, here's the good news for Zaire and group 1. It was a D. However, remember something. Does it get calculated into the grade? It's the first draft. No. So why is it a D? Because it really, I love that you're generous and you're like, yeah, it's good. It tells a good story. And it was the hurricane one, right? Yeah, it's just, I wish you could have heard Zaire, because everything she said was kind of on point. It wasn't particularly well organized. The thesis is, it may have a decent thesis. There is a thesis, but I think it needs to be sharpened a little bit. The whole paper doesn't really address it. What is the thesis of that paper?
I think it's about his girlfriend, having like a short period of time, something great came out of it.
I think that you are good at reading and you should be an English professor, because you're like, I found it, and that makes sense. But it's a struggle to get to what you just said. What would you guys say the thesis is? This is my quiet room. Shamira, what would you say the thesis is of that paper? I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Well, let's go to another one. And if you don't have a computer to read it on, although I did assign this to read, we're going to read another paper, guys. So I'm going to put you back in breakout rooms this time. So we're going to read this one in class. So Shamara, you can come up here and read it. Everybody else has a computer? Okay. So the next paper is going to be in a folder that says more personal narrative examples. More personal narrative examples. So read these, and you guys at home can see them, correct? Yep, all right, so I'm gonna open up your rooms again, read both of them, though we're running out of time. So Let's see if you can do it. Okay, so come on over here, and you just want to click on sample 1. Start with sample. That's confusing because it says sample 2 and sample. Start with sample 2. Everybody else has it? You found it? No, that's not. Start with 2 because it's on the top. You guys on sample 2. So I love that you're being generous and kind. So that's on you.
Ryan is not very good at snapping.
Good readers are like, I got it, I understand it. It's clear. But actually.
How you move this?
On this little mouse here. Since we're basically out of time, just read it all. And please read it at home.
Okay. I'm so confused in all my classes. I don't even know right now what I'm supposed to be doing, when I'm supposed to come to class.
But try not to be too confused. Because, get on Moodle, read 2 essays. It's not so bad. Yeah, Shamara, you can actually get on it, your phone and do it. You know how to get on?
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, then come back. Okay, so you guys are back here. So in Zoom land, what is your first off impression? Better or worse than the first paper?
Better.
Better. Better? Okay, what about over here? I know we're not done reading them. What's your first impression? Better or worse? Better. All right. Yes, good. So we're getting closer. We're almost out of time. And so as a student just told me in person, it's confusing right now what we're supposed to be doing in every class, especially with the switching. So I want to, in the last 5 minutes of class, remind you what you're supposed to be doing. So because we didn't read both of the essays for Friday, please read both of those. I also said we're going to talk about what your personal narrative topic is. And I said we're going to do that on Monday, and now it's Wednesday and we're out of time. So we're going to definitely do that on Friday. Talk about your personal narrative topics, make sure that you have one. And that's it for Friday. So for Friday, what you're doing is you're just reading these 2, you're giving them a grade. How do you find those grading interpretations? You go to documents and important stuff. If you're already writing your paper, I just want to show you in documents and important stuff, you have the MLA page number template. So let's say you're writing your paper. This is what it's supposed to look like. So, oops, I downloaded it. It's supposed to, so this is my, can you guys see a Microsoft Word document, or do I need to share it? You see it? No, I don't think you can see it. Let me share that. Okay, so this is what your paper should look like. So this is me pretending I'm a student. So you put your name, you put my name, you put the class. Technically, this is English 101 3M. You put the date, you put your title in the middle, and then you might want to use your template because your MLA formatting, so let's just choose a nice name from Louisiana. Let's say your last name is Temple. You might have to play with it a tiny bit and stretch it to make it Temple there. There you go. But in MLA, you're supposed to have your last name and the page number lined up on the second page. And why is it not on the first page? It's not on the first page because it's obvious that that's the first page. So now this is going to say, if I kept typing, it's going to say template 3, template 4, template 5. So you can use that template. If you're using Microsoft, if you're using Moodle Docs, it's a little more complicated to get there. I'll try to show you that on Friday. But if you're using Word, this is an easy way to get the formatting. Yes, definitely. Are you ready to turn yours in already? Yes. Good for you. All right, so, and remember, this thing is not a real grade, whatever you get. It's not the real grade. And maybe I graded that first one that you read a little harshly. Like a lot of you are in the C, it's a CD, but it's not good. So that's why it's not. Okay, see you on Friday. So you guys, I'll see you on Friday. I'll see you guys on Zoom. And I always upload the class onto YouTube. So if you miss class or if you have a friend that missed class, just check out my YouTube channel. Could you keep them for next Wednesday? Because I'm never going to learn your names. I don't know, you know, I guess countries where people wear veils, they just must really learn people's eyes. Because I have trouble without seeing the whole face, figuring out who you are. But you're Gordon. Mia. Bria. Not Brianna. Bria. Megara. Drew. Dayton. I'm trying.